Hello. Today I want to go through the advanced menu for Pharma Touchstone Online at wavedata.biz. So let's start by going to the browser. I'm using Firefox here, but it doesn't matter which browser you need, and log in. You can use any browser. So once we're in, there's a number of things you need to think about. The simple menu will do the vast majority of what you need. So for example, by putting in a product name there, that will allow you to run reports, but you've also got information here about changing your password, which you do under the helicopter. You've got the last date that it was updated, because this database, the Pharma Touchstone Online database, is updated every couple of weeks. You've got the number of rolling months, you've got behind the date range here, and you're able to switch into Irish data by clicking that if you need to, and you're subscribed to it. If you're dealing with anything more complicated than this, then you need to click the menu button and jump over into the advanced menu. Now the advanced menu is more advanced, and it does do all sorts of things that the simple menu doesn't do, like averages over time and things like that. But it's broken up in such a way that reports are really quick to run once you've worked out the rules and how to do things in here. So let's talk about the various areas of the screen and start with the global settings at the top here. This allows you to filter on particular bits of information, and all of the reports will then filter on those and just show those. So if, for example, you were in charge of dispensing doctors for your company, you could set that filter and leave it, and it will run for them. If you're only ever interested in, say, for example, parallel imports, you could leave it as PI, or if it was parallel exports, you could leave it as PE. That basically means it's the prices that pharmacists are being offered for spare stock for export. So rather than selling them, they're actually being offered them. And you could switch over to Irish data there if you're subscribed to it. For the time being, let's reset and go back to everything again and turn Irish back to UK. The second section of the screen to think about is the coloured boxes along the centre here, which are where you put your data in before you get reports out. So we've got a product under the product, we've got a molecule under molecule. If you click the question mark above molecule, you'll see whether you're subscribed to the complete database or if you've only got access to a few molecules. So we can see that we're subscribed to everything at the moment with this particular login. You've also got supplier here, licenser here, date here. One or two things have got stars after them. Product's got a star, so that means you could put in MODAF rather than with a star after it, rather than the full product name. Supplier's got a star. That actually allows you to put in a star rather than Lexon. The product name needs at least 4 letters, otherwise it won't work, because there's so much data in the database, websites just can't handle it. You can't use stars under molecule or under license or under date. Obviously it presumably wouldn't mean anything. The reports themselves are broken up into 4 columns. So we've got 3 reports under detail. So that's the product and supplier, molecule and license or manufacturer detail. We've got 3 reports under trends, a couple under analyses, and 3 others under other. So let's start at the beginning. The product and supplier actually is very similar to the report on the simple page. So if you wanted to do something like that, you can jump back. The molecule report again looks at detailed information. It can be very useful if you're looking at a brand where you've got generics and branded generics in the same field. And that will show you all 3 or 4 at the same time, rather than having to fish out to try and find different products by putting different branded generic names or different brand names in. The license or manufacturer detail again does it, but will do it by the individual manufacturer. So you could actually choose a different manufacturer here. If we went looking for the light green box up here, for example, we can get rid of Meda, and we could put in a few letters and wait for the drop down to appear, and then choose Pfizer. There we go. And the same applies to the brand name. So if you put the first few letters in and then choose from the drop-down list, and that should give you what you need. So that license or manufacturer detail would actually run for Pfizer and show all Pfizer's products in one go. If you put your cursor over the question mark, the area at the top center of the screen tells you more about what the report does. So again, if I take it up here, you see it changes. If I click it, there we go. I click that one, that changes. So it then tells you what the report actually does. So it's a way of working out a little bit more about what you're about to do before you do it. The trends reports, the three under here, av, max, min by molecule, again you've got a description there. All you'd need to do is, if you've chosen the right molecule here, you just click go underneath it and it would run the report for you, and probably would produce it as a second tab here. If it doesn't, it might add it at the bottom, so you'd have to click on the browser session that's open and it would turn up underneath that one. We'll run a report in a minute and you'll see. Molecule counts is actually counting the number of offers out there, and what that's trying to show is the amount of stock that's sitting in warehouses that would support that amount of activity. So it can give you clues about wholesaler buying patterns and commercial activity that's going on behind the scenes. License or trends, again, is average, max, min, but it does it for a manufacturer, for example Pfizer we've got here. Floor prices, molecule floor prices, that's basically we're trying to work out who's selling very cheap sources of your brand. For example, it might be a parallel import, it might be grey market stock. You have to, for that one, choose the molecule up here, but you also have to choose a date, and the dates are laid out in a particular format. So if your date box is empty, it's like greeny one, you put a 2 in, the months will appear, and then you can choose the one you want, and that will then populate this report, and you can run it by clicking the go button. Minimum generic price is searching all of our data for the lowest price for a particular product, well, anything that contains aripiprazole in this case, but also that particular manufacturer or those particular manufacturers. So it will look for a company's own price lists, but it would also look for their products being sold by other companies. So if there's a deal between one generic manufacturer and the other, and one does the manufacturing and the other does most of the selling, it looks at both. The basket report we haven't managed to put online yet, but we're working on that. That used to be available on the disk we used to send out to people. If you found it useful, we're heading in that direction, but we're not quite there yet. And then you've got 3 other reports that don't really fit into any other category. The first of them is a product breakdown. So that's fed by the name of the product here. So if we went back here and said, okay, we need to look for, say, let's look for Lipitor or Lipanthol, click that, it goes there in there. And then what we can do is actually run that to see what's in it and who makes it. So let's do that. And what that then tells us is it's made by Abbott and it's got fenofibrate in it. So we now have to get back to the main screen. So it's not as a tab at the top, which it might be in some browsers. So we go down here and it's just going to be the top of the list. So if you've run lots of reports, it's just going to be the one on the top that you need to go back to. So that was that one. And then you've got a pharma address book here. We've got about 2,500 companies involved in healthcare and pharmaceuticals behind the go button. All you need to do is to click it and they'll appear. You can do a certain amount of sorting and filtering and searching in there, so that can be quite useful if you're trying to find an organisation in a particular area, for example. License or counts. This again is looking at the numbers of offers out there. So say, for example, we've got Pfizer in here at the moment. If we had 5 Lipitors from AH and 5 Lipitors from Alliance, that would count 10. So it's counting the number of offers rather than the number of wholesalers, exactly as the molecule counts does over there. Let's actually run that one again. So it's got Pfizer in there. Let's click that and wait for that to run. Now we see it's broken down. We've got PIs against individual products here, so we can see the product price in the number of offers in each month. So we can see one for that product in August and one for this one in June. But we also see we've got pharmacy and dispensing doctor and small multiple there. So you can actually do quite a bit of filtering. So you could say, oh, I just want to see let's have a look at the PE data for Pfizer's products. Or we can have a look at the PI data and choose that. And that allows us to actually narrow down our search. And then we could choose individual products and build a little list, because you can choose more than one in this list. So as you go through, you can choose different products. And then when you've got there, you could then say, okay, I need to search a little bit further using the free text box and say, oh, well, I'll put 200 in there, like 200 milligram, and that will filter that out for me. So let's put the MG in there, see if it does any further. No, oh, yes, that's fine. So we're now down to 2 records. You've always got the download button at the bottom and at the top. So you can push data onto the clipboard and then move it into Excel. To get rid of a filter setting, you just put a line through the individual setting and click it and everything goes away. and then get rid of the 200 milligram, and it'll be back to everything again. You can actually take out pharmacy dispensing doctors and small multiples and go back to the count for PI and the count for UK and so on, simply by clicking the simplify this report button. And that's now taken out the customer type and simplified it. So we have an overview there. You can see what these reports can do. You can close them down without any worry, but let's go back to the original again. So here we go, let's go to the main page. So that's an overview, and to get back to the simple report, you click the simple button. And then you could carry on working there or jump backwards and forwards as you need to. Again, you can see that you've got the access to the how many molecules you've got there. You've got the last time it was updated, the database was updated. You've got the date range that's covered there. So you've got most things there. You could even swap into the Irish data here if you're subscribed to that. That's probably enough for now. If we can help you any further, please give us a shout. But thanks for listening.